When you wake up in the morning, you are not even fully sitting up yet, and your dog is already awake before you. It lifts its head and watches you closely. And the moment you move even a little, it gets up right away too. You step out of bed, it steps down with you. You walk into the bathroom, and when you come out, it is still there waiting for you. You go into the kitchen, it follows you. Wherever you go, it quietly trails behind you, as if staying close to you at all times is something that really matters. Your dog is way too clingy. That is probably what most people think, but the thing is, that is not the whole truth. And if you have, or have ever had, a dog that follows you around like this all the time, leave its name in the comments. Because by the end of this video, that very name might make you look at your dog with a completely different feeling. Let us begin. Most people assume dogs follow their owners because they like them, because they are curious, because they want attention, or because they are hoping for food, petting, or something interesting to happen. That idea is not wrong, but it only explains what is easiest to see. Because a dog does not keep repeating the same behavior that consistently if it is just acting on a passing impulse. It follows you even when there is nothing to gain, when you switch seats, leave the room for a moment, or go take a shower. That suggests that for many dogs, their owner's presence is not just something enjoyable, it is also something that makes them feel secure. When they are near you, they are more able to relax, more able to settle, and less guarded toward the world around them. In other words, your dog is not just following a person, it is following the place where it feels safe. So behind this seemingly small behavior, there is often something much deeper, an emotional bond, a sense of trust, and the way your dog places you at the center of its world. This is not just surface behavior, it is part of how your dog organizes its entire world around your presence. And once you look a little deeper, science really does support that idea. At first, the old explanation still sounds perfectly reasonable. Your dog follows you because it likes you, because it is used to being near you, or because it is expecting something interesting. But behavioral psychology and attachment research suggest that the story goes much deeper than that. One of the most important findings is this: when dogs and their owners interact positively, especially through eye contact, closeness, and warm physical contact, oxytocin levels can rise in both of them. Oxytocin is commonly associated with trust, bonding, and safety in close relationships. What matters here is not the scientific term itself, but what it means. It shows that for a dog, its owner is not just the person who feeds it or takes care of it every day. In the dog's emotional experience, the owner can become a safe figure, someone whose presence helps the dog's body calm down, reduce stress, and become more regulated. And this becomes even easier to understand when you look at the thousands of years of domestication. Dogs did not just learn to live alongside humans. Over time, they also developed the ability to read human signals, seek out human presence, and form deeper and deeper bonds with us. Put simply, your dog is not following you just because it is attached to you. Very likely, both its emotional system and its nervous system have learned something very clearly. Being near you is the safest and most trustworthy state it knows. Beyond the need to stay close in order to feel safe, many dogs also follow their owners for another deeply instinctive reason. They want to make sure you are still within their safe zone. From a behavioral perspective, this is not exactly protection in the dramatic way people usually imagine, like attacking or standing guard. It is much more subtle than that. It is the need to keep the most important person in their life within sight, within a distance where they can respond if something happens. In animal behavior research, this even has its own term: shadowing. This also lines up with findings from the University of Veterinary Medicine Vienna on attachment behavior in dogs. Some observations suggest that dogs often show clearer signs of stress when they are separated from the person they are most bonded to, even when the distance is not very far. That suggests that for many dogs, you disappearing from view is not just a small change. It is a signal that immediately draws the attention of their nervous system. So when your dog walks very closely behind your heels, keeps checking where you are, or gets up the moment you move, that is not just clinginess. In a dog's emotional logic, keeping you in sight is also a quiet way of protecting you, not because it thinks you are weak, but because to your dog, you are the most important person to keep close. There is one detail that is very worth noticing. Your dog does not follow you the same way in every part of the house. In some places, it follows quickly. In some places, it slows down. In some areas, it just stands outside the door and watches. And in others, the second it sees you heading there, it is already up before you. That is not random at all. For a dog, home is not just a place to live. It is also an emotional map. Each area is tied to a different state. The kitchen often comes with the smell of food, anticipation, and stimulation. The bedroom is usually where your scent is strongest, where your dog can relax more easily and feel safer. And the area near the front door is often especially important. That is where you come back, but it is also where you leave. So the way your dog follows you in each space can reveal quite a lot. If it follows you toward the door, then starts pacing, watches you more closely, or reacts the moment you pick up your keys or change your shoes, that may no longer be just a habit. It may be anticipatory stress, because its body has learned that these familiar signals often lead to being separated from you. Seen that way, following you is not random at all. It is a very subtle part of your dog's attachment language. There are days when your dog follows you much more than usual. It does not just stay behind you. It lies closer, looks at you longer, and shows up even in places it normally does not care much about. The moment you sit down, it rests its chin on your leg. The moment you stand up, it gets up too. A lot of people just laugh and think their dog is extra clingy that day, but from a behavioral psychology perspective, that usually is not random. Dogs are highly sensitive to human emotional states. They can detect changes in your voice, your facial expressions, the way you move, your stress level, and even the atmosphere around you that is hard to put into words. In other words, your dog is not just staying near you, it is constantly reading you. So when you are more tired, more stressed, sadder, or simply different from usual, many dogs will automatically come closer. Not because they understand your problem in the same way a human would, but because their attachment system recognizes that you are not in your normal, stable state. And in a dog's emotional logic, when its attachment figure seems unsettled, the most natural response is often to reduce the distance. That is why sometimes your dog notices your exhaustion before you have even named it yourself. So keep watching this video, because by the end, you may not only realize that your dog is more attached to you than you thought, but also understand more deeply why it always chooses to stay close when you are at your most vulnerable. In behavioral psychology, a dog always wanting to stay close to a safe figure is not automatically a sign of weakness. In fact, it is often a sign of a very strong bond. It only becomes a concern when following behavior is accompanied by panic, destruction, excessive barking, or an inability to self-soothe when separated. In most normal cases, your dog follows you simply because you are the secure center of its world. But that is exactly why what matters is not only when it follows you, but also when it suddenly stops. If a dog that used to trail behind you every day suddenly just lies still watches you but does not get up, still knows you have left the room but does not follow, that should not be ignored. In both behavioral practice and veterinary care, any sudden change in a familiar routine is worth paying attention to. Dogs rarely complain, clearly, the way humans do. They often show that something is wrong through very quiet changes: lower energy, less interaction, changing where they lie down, or less desire to stay close. In other words, stopping the behavior can itself be a signal. Your dog may be in pain, exhausted, stressed, or dealing with something wrong in its body. So following you is not just a cute habit. It is also a sign that can help you understand when your dog is doing well and when something may be starting to go wrong. If your dog suddenly stops following you the way it used to, the first thing to do is observe calmly instead of assuming it is just being lazier. Pay attention to whether it is eating less, sleeping more, changing where it lies down, looking at you less, showing less enthusiasm for movement, or showing signs of pain when getting up or walking. Do not force too much interaction. Give it a quiet, safe space, and watch for changes over the next 1 to 2 days. If this behavior continues, appears suddenly, or comes with other unusual signs, you should take your dog for a veterinary checkup as soon as possible. After all, the most important part of this behavior is not the fact that your dog follows you. It is the reason behind it. For many dogs, staying close to their owner is not just a habit or a preference. It is how they feel safe, steady, and connected to the most important person in their world. And if you are now picturing your own dog quietly trailing behind you every day, then maybe from today on, you will understand that it is not just an adorable habit. Very likely, it is your dog's way of expressing a deep trust that being near you is the safest place of all. And in the next video, we are going to talk about another very familiar behavior that is full of hidden meaning, why dogs so often take your exact seat, and what that really reveals.